attending our online information session in support of the proposed Hornby and Denman Islands high-speed internet project. My name is James Warren. I'm the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for the Comox Valley Regional District. I want to start today by respectfully acknowledging that the land on which we gather to host is the traditional and unceded territory of the Comox First Nation. Today, I am here with a few fellow presenters, and I will quickly introduce you to our presenters and ask each of them to give a wave. We have with us Electoral Area A Director Daniel Arbour, Karen Ross and Peter Spurr, representatives from the Hornby and Denman Islands Internet Committee, Jake Martens, the CVRD General Manager of Corporate Services, Chris Armstrong, the CityWest Vice President of Sales and Marketing, and Jennifer Steele and Ingrid Sly, our CVRD Communications and Technology Support for this session. Now a little Zoom 101 to get started. Today we have residents both calling in to hear the discussion and attending the session virtually. The session is being recorded so we can post on our website for others to view who are not able to attend today. As we have a large group here with us today, everyone except the speakers are muted to ensure disruptions and background noise are minimized. And finally, it should be noted that we are minimizing visual tools within this presentation to ensure that those callers at home can experience the same presentation as those who are online. At the end of the presentations, there will be an opportunity for questions. And for those of you joining us online, you can enter a question into the Q&A found at the bottom of your Zoom window at any time. However, we will only be answering them at the end of the presentations. You will be able to see the questions, and if you notice that someone else has asked a question you would like to have answered, you can add your support to that question by clicking the thumbs up under the question. As we are recording this virtual open house, when you ask a question via the Q&A, please tick the box to make yourself anonymous. Otherwise, you will be identified by your Zoom name. If you are calling in to join us today, you will also have an opportunity to ask questions. After we answer the questions asked by those who have joined us online, we will unmute those of you who have called in. To ask your questions, just say, "I have a question." Depending on the number of call-in attendees, we will either call on you to speak using the last 4 digits of your phone number, or just have you ask your question right away. For example, you will say, "I have a question," and our team will respond, caller 2345, please ask your question. For privacy, please do not identify yourself by your name when you speak, and please remember to be respectful of others throughout the session. If you have any technical questions or need assistance during the presentations, please contact either Jennifer Steele or Ingrid Sly using the chat function located at the bottom of your screen, or call 250-334-6087. And we've entered that number into the chat as well if you need to reference it. We'd be happy to troubleshoot any questions or issues that you might have. And again, that number is 250-334-6087. At this point, I would like to introduce Electoral Area A Director Daniel Arbour to say a few words. Director Arbour? I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Bonjour tout le monde. It's really nice to be here today. Really thrilled to have this opportunity to present the project to the community. As your elected rep at the CVRD, I'm so happy to forward the fiber optic project to the residents of Denman and Hornby for consideration at the referendum that will go through the month of November. And arguably, this is definitely a lifetime opportunity for the islands to bring brand new fiber optic infrastructure to every home in the near future. For the CVRD, establishing this telecommunication service, public service, would definitely be a first. We haven't done that before, but it's something that has been advocated for by virtually all rural communities in Canada for a long time. I want to thank James Warren, Jake Martens, and the rest of our staff for all their work on this. Believe it or not, a year ago, this was not even in our strategic plan, so they had to make room on the corner of their desk to really support the project, and we have a lot of appreciation for them. In terms of the project, the journey on this started many years ago and relied on massive volunteer efforts on the islands as usual. HiSeek was relentless on the file from 2015 on, working with TELUS and eventually with this project. And the DERA Internet Committee also did amazing, fantastic, detailed work around the needs and opportunities on the Denman side. I think it's worth pointing out that skilled individuals made a huge difference, especially Karen Ross, Peter Spurr, John Wiggle, John Grayson, and other members of the Hornby and Denman Internet Committee. Without all their dedication and expertise, the option of the last mile fiber connection would not be possible. I also want to recognize and acknowledge the active support of our MLA, Josie Osborne, and our MP, Gord Johns, who both advocated at various points for bringing fiber to the homes of Hornby Island. I also want to acknowledge the groundbreaking work of the Strathcona Regional District to the north of us, especially their past chair and now MLA Michelle Babchuk for the North Island, without whom there would not be a fiber optic cable to connect us into the Lambert Channel. In the big picture, actually this picture is, I'll take a break. This picture is from a couple years ago when we had our first meeting with the Connected Coast, and that's the partnership between CityWest and Strathcona. Thanks for putting it up, Jennifer. In the big picture, one element that I love is that the project also supports reconciliation in a real and tangible way with countless First Nation communities along the coast. The cable that's being laid is going to go all around Vancouver Island and all the way to Prince Rupert, and First Nations were a big driver around the project as well. Lastly, I want to thank the province of British Columbia for providing our islands, Denman and Hornby, with a $5.6 million grant investment, with CityWest also investing in the future of our islands with their own resources. So at this point, I think I'll pass on the torch. I'll be happy to field questions later, but I would be thrilled to pass on the torch to Karen Ross and Peter Spurr from the Hornby and Denman Internet Committees to give you a bit more background on the history of the project and move on from there. Thanks for attending today.
Daniel, thank you very much, and thank you for introducing the committee. Our story really started in the fall of 2016 at a gathering of Hornby businesses. Fixing the chronic and inadequate internet was identified as priority work for HiSeek. We had some success in lobbying with our internet service provider and got a service upgrade for the southeast corner of the island, the Sandpiper area. At that point, TELUS informed us that low density of population resulting in subpar corporate returns precluded further investment. The reality became clear. Without government investment, there would be no major improvements to internet on Hornby. In 2018, enter Connected Coast, the project put together by the Strathcona Regional District and CityWest Telecommunications to deploy a subsea high-speed fiber optic cable along the coast from Vancouver to Haida Gwaii. This $45 million backbone project proposed delivering a trunk fiber cable along the coast from Vancouver to Haida Gwaii. It involved 160 remote communities, involved 13 regional districts, and 44 First Nation communities. Although plans showed the cable going up Lambert Channel, Hornby and Denman were not included in the list of communities to be serviced. Running parallel to the work on Hornby, the Denman Island Residents Association formed an internet committee to address the inadequate service on their island. This Denman committee reached out to HiSeek, resulting in forming the Inter-Island Task Force. It is my belief that neither island would be where we are at today without this collaboration. I can't speak, oh, I might get teary here. I can't speak highly enough about the volunteer efforts. Over 1,000 hours of volunteer time, expertise, and tenacity were brought to this joint table in looking for island internet solutions. Our work led us to the Ministry of Citizen Service, the provincial ministry responsible for internet. They advised, in order to access any type of government funding, federal or provincial, our communities would have to prove an appetite to cross the digital divide. The federal government defined underserved communities as those having internet speeds of less than 50 megabits per second download and 10 megabits per second upload. A successful funding application needed to prove overwhelming community support. With grants solicited from ICE-T and Northern Development Initiative Trust, we hired an industry consulting firm to assist in public consultations, to help find a willing internet service provider, and to prepare the 2 reports that would be required for government funding. The digital roadmap and the implementation plan were the result. A video of the consultation, the 2 reports, and articles outlining the process are archived on our website, which has been dynamic over the project, hornbydenmaninternet.com. Armed with these reports, the committee commenced finding a suitable internet service provider who would partner with our communities in seeking funding. This was a bit of a tough path, as we had developed a business model that had some of the profits coming back to our communities. This was somewhat challenging on top of the non-lucrative projected returns from our low density of potential clients. The future was not looking friendly. However, in late 2020, new government funding became available to build infrastructure for communities that were identified as underserved. Our tentative relationship with Connected Coast Partnership solidified. Armed with our digital roadmap and implementation plan, our committee, the Strathcona Regional District, CityWest, and our regional director, Daniel Arbour, interested the CVRD in funding $142,000 to pay for landing sites, which were connecting lines from the subsea cable, the ocean cable, onto sites on Hornby and Denman, just by the ferry terminals on the islands. So the CVRD approved that money, and we got a toe in the door of the Connected Coast project. The CVRD continues to be the official government body representing our islands. By February of 2021, the Strathcona Regional District and CityWest accepted us into the whole project, and CityWest emerged as that eligible internet service provider for us. And they were positioned to apply for government funding to bring the island last mile fiber distribution to every premise on the island. The application went in for provincial funding, and then the waiting and lobbying started. The news of the successful application was made on August 5th by MLA Josie Osborne. The announcement of $5.64 million in provincial funding represented 70% of the cost of the estimated $7.6 million project. The next 20% of the money was an investment by CityWest, and the remaining 10% is up for our communities to fund. The CVRD proposes that we do this 10% through a broadband service for Denman and Hornby, if our communities agree to this in the referendum process this fall. What does it mean? After 5 years of work on this file, we're so close. Our homes could receive dedicated fiber that delivers internet speeds of 1,000 megabits per second, the highest speed available anywhere today, far in excess of our original targets of the federal levels of 50 up, 50 down, and 10 up. So when the referendum passes, our communities will cross that digital divide with a vengeance. Thank you, Peter. We'll take it from here.
Like that? Am I there? Good. Karen, thank you. Thank you for explaining how we got to where we are today. It's my job to try and explain the importance of the referendum, and in particular, the importance of voting yes. The yes vote's important for each of us because it will allow us to have this high-speed fiber optic communication, and that will be brought to us by CityWest. The services that CityWest will provide are superior. The internet is going to be providing speeds that customers want, up to 1,000 megabytes per second. No slowdowns because of the weather or because of other users on the line. Buried fiber optic cable protected from falling branches. No EMF issues. The television that they'll provide is in various packages up to 300 channels. The telephone that they'll provide is a solid landline with battery backup in the event of an outage. You can retain your current numbers, and the long distance rates are very good. The CityWest services cost a lot less than we're paying today. To illustrate this, let me describe the impact of CityWest prices on my own family situation. Today, excuse me, today our family is paying for a landline with minimal long distance, $43 a month. We pay for Apache internet service from TELUS Smart Hubs, $95 a month. And we've got a basic television package from Shaw Direct for $96 a month, a total of $234 a month. CityWest has got a bundle that will exceed the service in each one of those for a monthly price of $95.46 a month. Subscribing to that CityWest service would save our household $138 a month. That's $1,656 a year. The tax increase that we would have to pay is probably in the neighborhood of $80. So the annual saving to our household from CityWest will be approximately $1,600 a year. That's pretty serious. Now, all of you can calculate your own financial situation just as I've done by going to the CityWest website, www.citywest.com, and they list their prices. Also, if you go to the Hornby Denman Internet.com website, we've got their prices in a little table there as well. A yes vote has really important benefits for our households and our families. Better internet means better educational opportunities, access to online courses, better ability to interact with instructors and with your fellow students through streaming, improved ability to do research. The healthcare is moving online these days, and we have to be able to move with it, to do virtual appointments with doctors and other healthcare providers, to allow for online medical equipment and monitoring. We can improve our businesses with better broadband. Number one, it allows people to work online and also to sell our products online and to shop. Our ability to connect with family, distant family and friends will be improved. And a lot of government services and commercial services are shifting to internet delivery these days. And we have to be able to access these things. Our appliances and systems in the home are becoming more frequently connected to the internet and what they call the Internet of Things. And we'll want to be able to use these capabilities. And of course, better internet will allow us to have better access to entertainment, to Netflix, to people that like to play bridge with one another, lots of gaming activities. Our communities need us to vote yes. Better internet can have improvements to our safety. For example, our fire department's training these days is getting to be much more online. We can have more robust home security systems. Wide access to better internet will help our organizations, our committees, clubs, recreational groupings, because they can do more efficient online meetings. It'll help our arts community, help our artists and craftspeople to market their products, to help our musicians to practice together, find audiences, to jam. It'll allow people to work, study, and recreate here, just as they do in cities, and that will benefit our entire community. Having better internet in the community means we can accomplish more from home, and that means that we'll travel less, and that means that we won't be emitting as much CO2 and damaging our environment. And our community needs all of us to vote yes, even the people who think that they won't be using the improved services. Let me explain why. The yes vote will allow CVRD to become involved in broadband, and they will then borrow about $800,000 to let this project go ahead. This 10-year loan is going to be repaid by a small increase in our annual property taxes, about $40 per every $500,000 of assessment. But these taxes do something else. CityWest has agreed that it will pay to CVRD 20% of its annual net operating income from our islands. CVRD will use this income to create a new grant program exclusively available to our islands. So your yes vote and your taxes will fund a new income stream for our community. Most important, we have to vote yes because this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Right now, we have a chance to succeed, to actually get high quality, high speed, reasonable cost service for our islands. This chance for success is what's important. It is, as Daniel said, the opportunity of a lifetime. Hornby and Denman are special places. They have unique qualities that have attracted people from many parts of the world. We need to keep our places special, and high-speed internet will be one of the qualities that is going to make our islands special places now and in the future. We have the chance of a lifetime to do something really important for our islands. At the referendum on November the 27th, we've got to go out there and vote, and we have to vote yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen and Peter. And I think Jake will turn the floor over to you. Jake Martens, our General Manager of Corporate Services at the Comox Valley Regional District.
Thanks, James. So as you've heard, to assist with bringing high-speed internet access to Denman and Hornby Islands, the Comox Valley Regional District Board is proposing to provide a financial contribution to build the last-mile infrastructure necessary to connect homes and businesses. The key aspects of this initiative for the CVRD include establishing an eligible service to raise the funds, entering into a capital contribution agreement with CityWest, and borrowing up to the 10% of the community contribution amount for the high-speed internet infrastructure. With the total project cost estimated at $7.6 million, the CVRD's contribution is projected to be up to $760,000. With the 1% Municipal Finance Authority debt issue expense, this provides a total borrowing of $767,677. Annual debt servicing for this amount equates to a tax burden of about $40 per household, as Peter has mentioned, and that's for a property assessed at $500,000. This tax would be in place for 10 years until the debt is retired. Along with other legislative requirements, approval by the electors is required for the regional district to establish the service, enter into the capital contribution agreement, and to borrow the necessary funds. The board has directed that such approval be sought by way of a referendum, and eligible electors will have the opportunity to vote in the referendum on a single question on the ballot that addresses each of these three aspects. Referendums are administered like an election, and local government election rules and legislation generally applies. In order to be eligible to vote, you must qualify as either a resident or non-resident property elector. A resident elector must be 18 years of age or older on general voting day, be a Canadian citizen, be a resident of BC for at least 6 months before they register to vote, have lived on Denman or Hornby Island, that's the service area, for at least 30 days before they register to vote, and not be disqualified under the Local Government Act or any other enactment or by law from voting. If a person lives off the islands but owns property on either Denman or Hornby, they may qualify as a non-resident property elector and may vote as long as they meet the voter eligibility requirements. If a property is owned by more than one individual, only one person is eligible to vote as the non-resident property elector for that property. The owner is entitled to vote must be designated in writing by the majority of property owners. These and other eligibility requirements are detailed on our website at www.comoxvalleyRD.ca/islands-internet. In light of the ongoing pandemic, electors may choose to vote by mail. Mail ballot packages can be requested by filling out a short form available on our website or by contacting the CVRD via email at elections@comoxvalleyRD.ca or by calling 250-334-6000. An assent vote safety plan has been created to ensure all health and safety protocols are followed. In-person voting will require all voters and polling staff to wear masks, maintain social distancing, and ensure everyone is following proper hygiene etiquette and limiting contact. Please note, though, that proof of vaccination is not required to vote in person. Eligible electors can vote during any of the following opportunities. There is advanced voting at our office here in Courtenay on November the 17th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's also special voting on November the 24th on Denman Island at the Senior Center from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Hornby Island at the Community Hall from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then general voting, as it's been noted, on November the 27th at the Senior Center on Denman Island and at the New Horizons Senior Hall on Hornby Island from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Preliminary results of the referendum will be communicated publicly following the close of the polls once counting has been completed. Approval by the electors is deemed to have been received only if a majority of votes are in favor of the question. If a majority of votes are against, the bylaws may not proceed. The CVRD Board of Directors will review the results and consider any next steps at their December 7th meeting. If elector approval is obtained, the bylaws will be considered for adoption and the service will be included in the 2022 to 2026 financial plan, with funding being provided to CityWest for the installation of the infrastructure for construction in the summer of 2022. As we lead up to the referendum, assent voting notices will be advertised within the local and regional newspapers. As well, we will be doing an unaddressed postcard mail drop in November to encourage general voter participation. Thank you for the opportunity to provide the details on the referendum. At this point, I would then now turn it over to Chris Armstrong from CityWest, who can provide a bit more detail on their specific products and services.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, everyone, for joining the call today. It's really good to be here. I had the great pleasure of going over to Denman and Hornby yesterday to visit with some fine people over there. And Peter's absolutely right. They are definitely very special places. So very honored to be able to go over there. I did bring some friends with me today, too. I brought some employees of CityWest. I have Mr. Bart Kuntz. He's the vice president of the outside plant. Do you want to? No. And also Tina Lucier, she's the Vice President of Customer Service. We'll hopefully not unhook the internet here. And lastly, but not leastly, Eric Giel. He is the Operations Manager for WCI Corp, which is helping us with the civil construction. He's also got a bit of show and tell at the end of my presentation, so stay tuned. I'd really like to thank the Comox Valley Regional District for giving us the opportunity to speak today as well. As Jake mentioned, my name is Chris Armstrong. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at CityWest. And today I'll be giving you a very high level view of what we'd like to do on Denman and Hornby Islands. First, I'd like to give you a bit of history of CityWest. The company was founded in 1910 in Prince Rupert. Back then, it wasn't actually called CityWest. It was founded because the newly created town wanted telephone services, but the main carrier of the day didn't want to go all the way up there. So the townspeople took it upon themselves to build the telephone network. A few years later, they sold the company to the municipality, which ran it as a telephone utility for almost 100 years. In 2005, the municipality rolled the utility out into a separate company and called it CityWest. The company has one shareholder, the City of Prince Rupert. It appoints a board of directors to set the governance and strategic direction of the company. The city itself doesn't involve itself in the strategy or the day-to-day operations of the company. Now, that said, the board and the mayor and council are all aware of our expansion activities, and they are also fully supportive of what we're trying to do to bring better services to underserved areas around the province. Since 2005, we've expanded our service footprint across northern BC. Over the last year, we've made the move to expand southward to places like Cortes Island and Denman and Hornby Islands. If you've kept an eye on our news page on our website, you'll also notice that we're expanding onto Haida Gwaii as well as Fraser Lake and Vanderhoof. These are very exciting times for our company. We are guided by our vision to provide the best customer experience in everything we do. And in our industry, the best customer experience is delivered through fiber to the home technology. It is simply the best way to deliver very fast internet that is reliable and resilient. It also gives us the ability to provide great TV and landline telephone services to our customers. And one small note on the internet services as well, we deliver that with unlimited data. You do not have any limits on your monthly bill. So how will we be bringing these services to Denman and Hornby? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Yes, thank you, Jennifer. So for those of you on the call who can't see, I guess I'll have to describe this slide that we're looking at right now. It's basically an artist's rendering of any town, Canada. It'll show you the backbone, which is what we call the, is kind of the industry lingo for where all internet comes from. In this case, for Denman and Hornby, we want to bring it via the Connected Coast Network. So that's called backbone or backhaul. And there's a lot of data that streams through that pipe. From there, it goes ashore to a cabinet, and you can see the cabinet coming up from the shores, that little gray pedestal there. And then it's distributed to each neighborhood with fiber lines running underground along the roadway. Finally, the fiber goes underground from the street to your house. In industry jargon, this is known as a drop, and it's also called last mile services. You'll also notice on this drawing, there are some lines on hydro poles. So that's another way that services are delivered to your home. It's called aerial. We are doing underground on Denman and Hornby. We've actually produced a video showing how this underground process unfolds. I would like to show it to you on this call, but I have had a lot of problems with showing video in big Zoom or Teams meetings. But we'll just put the link, and I think Jennifer's just put the link in the chat right now. I'll let you watch it at your leisure. It's only 5 minutes long. What I will say about the underground drop process is this. We've had a few questions about how it disturbs your lawn and how far we can go with houses that are a long way from the road. For the first question, we do everything we can to ensure there is very little impact on your property. We use directional drills, which can actually zigzag underground through your lawn, and we put everything back once we're done. For the second question about the lengthy driveways, we'll basically make it work. Our intention is to get fiber to each dwelling on the island however we can. We know that in some cases it will mean doing a bit of extra work to get it to a house, but we'd like to work with the property owner to make that happen. The next step after the drops will be hooking up the network to the Connected Coast Network. Once that is connected, bandwidth will flow through fiber optic cables, and you'll have access to great internet, TV, and phone services. Since it's a fiber to the home network, you'll have access to speeds of up to 1,000 megabits per second. That's download. And our upload speeds are very fast too. You'll also benefit from the reliability and resilience of fiber technology. If you visit our website, www.citywest.ca, you can see that we've also priced our products competitively to ensure that you're paying reasonable prices for your services. Most importantly, you'll benefit from amazing customer service. We've got great technicians and customer service representatives who work right here in BC, and they strive every day to provide great customer experiences. I'm guessing the question on everyone's mind right now is when. I truly wish I could give you that answer, but due to the nature of the construction process, I simply can't give you any timelines. However, I can say that in the current phase, we are encouraging everyone to fill out our form on our dropping in page. That link is www.citywest.ca/dropping-in. And I think we're putting that in the chat as well. Getting a drop to your home during the construction phase is absolutely free. And there's no obligation to get CityWest services if you sign up for a drop. Of course, we'd really like to have you sign up. We've had some great responses to our campaign already. So far, over 650 people have signed in the dropping in form. So thank you. I can give you a general sense of how things will progress after the referendum, should it be successful. First, we'll seek out the necessary permits to get the work done. We'll also send some of our people to the islands to map out a design of our infrastructure. Then the construction crew will arrive using the design maps we've created to bring underground drops to your home. While all this is going on, we'll be working on bringing the Connected Coast Network to Denman and Hornby Islands, and then we'll fire everything up. Once everything is going, as part of the partnership we have with Comox Valley Regional District, we'll be investing 20% of net profits that we take in from Denman and Hornby Islands back to the regional district. So put another way, you will be part owners of your localized ISP. Throughout the process, we'll be providing updates on the project through email and communicating through various media on the island. You can also reach out directly to us if you'd like an update by emailing marketing@cwct.ca. That's a very high-level view of what we like to do on Denman and Hornby, and Eric is going to show you a little bit of what that infrastructure will actually look like.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Really is an honor and a privilege to be here. We built a small fiber to the home network in Bamfield, and it's worked out really well for the citizens there. And I'm just over the moon to be here to show you guys. I don't know how well this is going to pick up on the camera. This is you got 96 fibers in something that is you know, about a 1/4 inch. And I don't know if that picks it up, but that's what all the fuss is about, is all these little pieces of glass. It's stretched glass. This is what the conduit looks like. Trying to find the right angle. This is a 14mm duct. It's very strong. I can barely bend it. And this is what ends up getting buried in the road right of way there, the Ministry of Transport. So this we call the spaghetti fiber. This is 12-way. So there's 12 fibers in this. I'll hold that up to the camera and you can maybe see fiber optics are divided into 12 colors, and that is a good example of each of the 12 colors. So in 144 fibers, everything is broken down on a repeating 12 color pattern. And this is the big one. This is called 144 count. So a lot of the island will be, the backbone will sort of look like this dense. And if you can see, it's not much bigger than your standard coaxial cable that would feed one house. Again, we've got 144 individual fibers in here. So it's a fabulous technology. I'm over the moon and super encouraged by some of the comments. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to meet Karen and Peter yesterday. I would encourage you all to vote yes, and a big thanks to the directors and staff for making this happen. And I'm going to pass it to Jennifer now, and I think we're going to start some Q&A.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for the great presentations. I'm sure the details presented have sparked some very interesting questions. If you're online, you can now enter a question into the Q&A found at the bottom of the Zoom window, or submit a thumbs up to a similar question already posted that you support. A reminder, we are recording this session, so when you ask a question via the Q&A, please tick the box to make yourself anonymous. Otherwise, you'll be identified by your Zoom name. We do have a few callers on the line today, so if you are calling in to join us today, after we answer all the questions online, we will unmute those who have called in. To ask your question, just say, "I have a question," and you'll be able to speak directly to the group. Finally, we would just like to ask everyone to please be respectful of everyone's questions and opinions as we move forward. We have a very large group here today. There's 71 people on the call, and we'll move quickly and orderly through the questions to ensure that everyone has an opportunity. For any questions that are not answered, we will be posting responses onto our website at comoxvalleyrd.ca Island Internet. So let's check out the questions that have come through online. All right, so I'm going to be passing these over to the panelists as I read them out. So are everybody ready? Drum roll, please. Okay, so we have a question on the clarification on landlines. So Chris, I'm going to pass this one over to you. Will they be maintained over time by TELUS? And will the cost increase if you're no longer bundled?
You mean if you're a current TELUS customer?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a TELUS phone and you'd like to keep your TELUS phone, you can certainly keep your TELUS phone. I don't think they would be going anywhere. They have what's known as an obligation to serve. So they have to actually provide telephone services to your islands. But if you can definitely port over your phone number to CityWest should you choose to become a CityWest telephone customer.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris, for answering that one. Okay. All right, so one of the next questions, how long will our phones continue to function in the event of a prolonged power outage? In other words, if the power grid goes down for multiple days, will the phones continue to function uninterrupted? Chris, over to you.
Yeah, and I'm going to pass it over to Spurr.
Yeah, so when the landing comes up from the submarine cable, there'll be equipment that is hooked to that. And we have 2 sets of battery packs that will be taking care of the equipment to keep it alive, and that will last anywhere from 24 to 48 hours with the system. Once that 24 to 48 hours is in there, first of all, I'd love to have a technician inside that timeline be able to come there. All of our equipment will have generator backup. It'll be manually installed while it's down, but at that point, if we keep the fuel going, we'll be able to have that up and going in no time. So I foresee power outages, obviously, in your area. We also live on the coast up in Prince Rupert, and it's very common. And it's one of our main goals is to keep that security of making sure all the equipment and the internet is up. So that's what we'll be doing, and it should last about 48 hours, and we should have a technician there within that timeline to make sure that it continues to be up.
Thank you so much for that detailed answer. Okay. Peter Spurr mentioned landlines. Will these remain functional throughout power outages? Partially already answered, Chris, but if you want to answer again.
No, I can add to that. So when the actual phone line in the home, CityWest always installs a lithium battery backup. So that battery backup will last anywhere between 8 and 12 hours. So inside your home, and that's non-use. If you're obviously going to make a phone call for an hour, it's going to drain the battery, but it'll be 8 to 12 hours of battery backup inside your home from CityWest when we install any phone line.
Great, thank you. Okay, another question for CityWest. What will the upload speeds be? And would static IP addresses be available?
The upload speed is going to depend on the download speed, really, what package you have. I mean, we are looking into providing symmetrical internet speeds as well, which means that you get the same amount down as you do up. So hopefully that'll be coming one day. But if you have today, if you're buying 1,000 or a gig down, you're getting about 100 megabits per second up. And sorry, what was the second? Oh, static IP. Yes, we do have static IPs. I mean, we have static IPs. There's a limited number of them, so they're priced accordingly. But we can offer that to you. Mostly, it's businesses that pick those up. But yes, we do have static IPs.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, this is going to be another question over to CityWest. How will you avoid the water and septic lines?
I'm going to pass that one over to Eric.
Thanks again. Organizations, BC One Call, the regional district, all the GIS, all the layering.
Hi, Chris. Sorry, this is Ingrid, tech support. We had a bit of a glitch and you were frozen for a moment there. So could you just start your answer over again from the top? Thank you.
Sure. Basically, we've got a very experienced team of locators. They have the latest and greatest in location technology. It's a underground electromagnetics, and we work with BC One Call. We work with all of the authorities to ensure that we have, first of all, identified anything, and then we actually go on site in the field, and look through the ground with these locating machines. So it's a very, very comprehensive process, and knock on wood, we won't hit anything.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, you get a little bit of a break. I got a question for Jake. Okay, are there mail ballot voting options if you're not currently on the island, but a landowner?
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Yes, both resident electors and non-resident property electors are able to vote by mail. And so the application form is available on our website. I'd encourage everyone to take a look if they're interested in that opportunity. And if you have any questions or trouble finding it, don't hesitate to reach out to us via phone and we can assist with that.
Thank you, Jake. Okay, Chris, you're back up. Can a homeowner pre-install the conduit from the rod to the residence if the homeowner is in the process of developing the property at this time?
Yes. Would you like to speak to this one?
Yes, anytime in past practice, depending on obviously when the civil build is either completed or if it's not, hasn't started yet, two different options there. If someone was building right now and we did not have the capacity right now to be there, as in the connection point on the property line, they absolutely would be able to take that. They'd be able to phone us. We would have a phone number, contact number for who would be the project manager of that build, and they'd be able to assist them with what is expected from the property customer home out to the property line. The second one is, let's say that there is an empty lot right now and our build team went through and built the civic addresses, built them all. We would be putting what we call a flower pot on the property line. So it's a small vault that's in the ground about 12 inches and 12 inches wide. We would have a connection point to that. So it would be the owner's responsibility at that point when he is building the new home. They'd be bringing the conduit and we will more than likely have that supplied on island at a common place where the customer could pick up 100 meters, let's say, or whatever it would take to get in that spot, and then they would install it out to that flower pot. When that happens, when you book the actual install to have internet, TV, and phone, which I know everybody will want triple play, when they do that, we will come out and we make a connection inside the vault at the edge of your property, and then we will start the process of the installation around the home.
Thank you. Okay. Director Arbour, if the cost of implementation goes over budget, what would be the plan and consequence?
Thank you. I may ask for a little bit of assist from James on this one, but I can provide my best answer. We're going to pass the bylaws essentially based on the result of the referendum, and we listed the maximum amount that we can requisite based on that referendum. So in the event that it goes over budget, my intuition is that we would try to negotiate so that our share remains the same. But James Warren may provide some further information on this.
Thanks, Director Arbour. No, I would concur with what you're saying there. The maximum amount that we can borrow here would be that $760,000 that Jake made reference to, and we'd be working with the projected budget that CityWest has put together for this overall project.
Thank you. Great question. Okay, another one over to CityWest. Is the phone service VoIP? And is there any lag or sound quality issues?
Is it VoIP? Well, I mean, it's landline. I would argue that any phone is VoIP these days. I mean, it's voice over internet protocol. And like if you make a call somewhere, anywhere outside your community, it's going to be going over internet lines. So, but if it is a landline service, it sounds like the landline service that you have today. There would be no change in that. There's no degradation in quality. Yeah.
Right, thank you. Okay, another question for you, Chris. You mentioned that CityWest will work with homeowners whose houses are far from the road. In a bare land strata, such as High Salal Ranch on Hornby, the distance from the main road may be kilometers. Have you considered how the drops will work in situations like this?
Yeah, we're still working on that. We'd be very interested to talk to whoever submitted that question, though, for sure, and anyone else who has long driveways like that. We really do want to work with you to get you the service.
Perfect. So what I might do is I'll pass along the contact information of this individual, or they can contact you directly. If the overall project is voted to go ahead, is there a minimum number of subscribers required in a particular block area of properties to have drops? i.e., if I'm at the end of a dead-end road and I'm the only person who requests a drop in my block, will I be able to get the drop installed? Over to you, Chris.
The answer is yes. But I mean, we are running this dropping in campaign that we have right now. We have the over 650 signups. So again, we just encourage everyone to sign up for that drop. It's free. There's no obligation. If you sign up for a drop, and we're able to, we will get there for you. Yes.
Perfect. All right. Another question. I realize that your intention is to provide services to everyone, but how are you going to deal with roads that only have 2 or 3 households? Chris, over to you.
I would say the same principle applies. Like if you sign up for a drop, we'll get you a drop.
Okay, overview of fees, yearly tax amount plus fee for services a household purchases. But there seems to be some confusion that there is additional yearly fee. Can you please clarify? Chris or Director Arbour? Director Arbour might be able to talk about the tax side of things, and then Chris, maybe you can talk about the CityWest side of the servicing costs.
That sounds good. Thanks, Jennifer. So yeah, you're right. There are 2 components of cost to the homeowner. One is, as Jake and James explained, is over 10 years, the average of $40 for a $500,000 home. Some people will pay less, some people will pay more. That's an annual fee. And then depending on I'll pass it to Chris, but depending on the bundle, just like any subscription you have with your current providers, then there would be, I imagine, a monthly fee. But in terms of the regional district and the tax service, it's just the $40 per year on average. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Director. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's like any other subscription service that you would have with the TV, internet, phone services at your home. There's a monthly fee. There's PST and HST on that as well. And I mean, one thing that we don't have, we do not charge you for overage, for internet overage, because we don't have any data limits. So you don't have to worry about that.
Great, thank you. If the project is approved, what is the timeline for installing the Seabed cable and then the fiber lines to homes on the island? You kind of already referenced the timeline side of things, but maybe you can build upon it a little bit in the answer, Chris.
The only thing I could say is I would love to give you timelines right now, but we quite simply can't. Once we have those timelines, once we have a better indication of when this will all be happening, we will absolutely will sing it from the hills. So at this point in time, unfortunately, I can't give you those timelines.
Okay, thank you for answering, Chris. How fiber optic cables can be delivered to individual houses, and what about households with long driveways? You've already answered that question a few times, but there is additional question here is, will there be additional costs for those households that have long driveways? Chris, maybe you can advise on that one.
Yeah, we're looking into that right now. I mean, what we'd encourage you to do is just sign up for the drop, and then if we will get back to you once we take a look at where that house is. Signing up for the drop again is absolutely free if you sign up on our website.
Fantastic. Okay, great question that came through. Was TELUS notified of the new government monies made available in 2020 to see if they might have made it more likely for the complete for the last mile? I'm going to pass this over to maybe the Internet Committee, Karen Ross or Peter Spurr, as they were involved in that side of things.
Jennifer, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I was just texting with Peter. He's been kicked off the call and trying to get back on.
Okay.
You can help him technically with that. So if you could repeat the question, please.
Yeah. Was TELUS notified of the new government monies made available in 2020 to see if it had made it more likely for them to complete the last mile?
All of the telecom communication companies would be familiar with those programs because they all rely on government funding to do these infrastructure programs. So TELUS will have served or put applications in for other communities. I know that a lot of the work that they were proposing was overhead wireless to service some of the northern and remote communities. So yeah, TELUS is very much on the inside of any government funding that takes place.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate you answering that question. Okay, Jake, over to you for this next one. How will the vote be handled? Is there a required number of households voting?
Thanks, Jen. No, there is no minimum threshold as far as participation. And it's, again, a majority of the votes that are counted if they're in favor or opposed. And it's important to also note that there is just one service area. Denman and Hornby are combined as one service area for this initiative. So yeah, it doesn't require both islands to both pass this. It is, again, the majority of the total votes counted.
Thanks, Jake. Okay, James, I'm going to pass this next one over to you. Did the information get forwarded to non-resident landowners?
Thanks, Jennifer. Yes, a letter went out in mid-September that would have informed on this open house as well as the referendum and project in general, and it went to all the property owners. So those would include the non-resident landowners.
Great, thank you. I know the actual dates are not known, but how long? Oh, my question moved. I know the actual dates are not known, but how long would the process take to get it from trunk to my house and then have internet? This has already been.
Yeah, I'll pass it up the part.
Yeah, everyone. It is, at this point, I mean, we're very hopeful that we start getting some timelines that will come in also. It's as someone who is in charge of the outside plant and doing these civil build infrastructures, we definitely want to get those timelines in place. When everything is permitted, so when we get through the MOT process and all the different permits that you'll need to come on the coastal landing to come up and then continue on, once all those permits are in, if we had a civil crew come into, we'll just use Denman as an example, if they came in there, I would hope that the civil project would take around 6 months. Our crews come in and they are 20 days in and 10 days out. That's the rotation. So I'm hopefully that civil build could take around 120 working days, anywhere from probably 120 to 150. And then we have a placing crew that comes in after that. As Eric was showing you with the fiber optic cable, how small it is and the small conduit that we're using. So it's very invasive. It's very small. It doesn't take up a lot of room, but we actually blow the fiber. So we're blowing the fiber throughout the community on the roads, which is called your backbone infrastructure. And then we have drops that go to the house. When we put the conduit and the drop to the house, it'll have 2 fibers in it, and one for a spare for a backup, or if there was multiple properties on the land. So that piece is already embedded inside the conduit. So when that gets laid, it'll already be in place. That probably takes about 6 weeks to get all the splicing done and testing to each home. So at that point, overall, it would be anywhere from 6 to 9 months. And then every home that was served or that said yes to the drop process, they would have access from an installation aspect on the home property, which would probably be anywhere from a quick install would be 2 hours and a long install would be 4 hours. So once that service is applied for through CityWest and you take all 3 services, we would come up here. We would come up to you and it would take about that long. So, and then after that, it depends how many installs we have booked and how many technicians we can have on the island to do that. So yeah, once permitting's done, once all those type of things are done, I bet within a year, you would have a good majority of the residents of Denman or Hornby or any of the other communities would have service with us and be up and running.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we are hitting the 1 hour mark, so it is 1 o'clock. We will finish up the 10 questions that are in the Q&A. Any questions that we do not get to, as I noted earlier, we will answer them and we will post the answers on our website address because we want to ensure that everyone can get answers to the questions that they're wanting. So I will continue on. Just wanted to give everyone a little bit of a warning. Okay, if one has a telus.net email address, will that be accessible, or does CityWest provide email domains? Over to Chris.
Yes, you will be able to access your email if you have a TELUS account, and we also offer email addresses. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Do you have an estimate of what the monthly cost will be for the internet, TV service, and the landline? Chris.
Yeah, that really depends on what you want. I mean, I think it was mentioned earlier today by Peter, the base for a triple play is about $96 a month.
Great, thank you. Okay, this may have already been answered. Will 911 still work as it does with a landline? Chris,
Yes.
Over to you.
Yes.
Good, because we want to ensure that 911 works.
Yes.
That's kind of an important element.
Kind of a big deal, yeah.
Okay, will CityWest promise not to phone constantly offering upgrades and special promotions? Chris, I think that one's over to you.
You're asking the director of sales and marketing that? This is a tough one for you to say no to, but yes, we will not bother you. In fact, we have a do not, an opt-out service as well. So if you do not want to be advertised to by us, you can put your name on the list and we won't call you.
Great, thank you. This one is also for you, Chris. Can you clarify that if you don't sign up for the free drop in the future, will you need to pay for it yourself?
Yes, you will need to. And the reason for that is it's going to take so much for us to mobilize and then demobilize the construction crew that's going there. To bring them back after the fact is a big cost. And on top of that, we don't know where that construction crew might be at that point in time. So we can't actually guarantee that we'd be able to come back when you wanted it. So do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to add to the crucialness of signing up. With the process that we're using, when you watch the video, which I hope everybody takes that video and that link and takes a little look at it, you'll see what the drill does. So the drill will be having an open pit hole out off the property. And what it'll do is it'll drill all the way into your property. So you could be 100 meters in and the drill will end up 100 meters underneath the surface and only pop up at the side of your house. When those crews are going by your area, even if there's only 3 homes there, if you were the 4th home that never said no, when we pick up all those drills and we move to the east on Denman and completely start drilling over there, to mobilize back to a single home, you wouldn't want to hear the cost of what that takes to do. So the free word, there's not many things free anymore in this world. This is free to get that fiber optic cable to the side of your home into our infrastructure. And if you never decide to have service with us, we're fine with that. We want to take on that cost so that you have the opportunity. So the signing up is the most crucial thing that these 2 communities can do at this point, because the cost is very expensive to ever come back to that.
Thank you, great answer. Another one for CityWest. My house is 75 feet from the road and I have a studio that's 200 feet from my house. Can I service internet from my house to the studio?
Yes, what you would like to do is most runs are 300 foot is the extension. So if you had the main fiber optic service in your front of your home, what you would want to do, this would be, we would provide that service. At that point, you'd want to put conduit or a protective shield over a raceway to get to your studio. And if you took a Cat5e Ethernet line and we put that, we could plug directly into your main unit in the main house and it would take it out to your service out there in the studio. You'd either plug in directly into a laptop or we have Wi-Fi extenders. So you'd still be able to have that Wi-Fi experience from us out in your studio.
Fantastic, thank you. What is CityWest connection fee between the free drop and the particular bundle of service? Chris.
That is also free. We do not charge for installation.
Great. I hear lots of free.
Yeah.
If you sign up for the drop, will there be communication from CityWest prior to the drop happening? Will there be an opportunity to change your mind? Chris.
Yes, there will be communication. And yes, you, in theory, I suppose, could change your mind, but I think Bart's already gone through, like, we really hope that you don't.
Can multiple homes on the same property get their own connection? Chris.
Yes, yeah, that was just addressed by Bart, so yes, they can. Absolutely.
What are the issues and concerns current clients have? Chris.
Well, okay. The current concerns that clients have?
What are issues or concerns that current clients have?
Well, I mean, I would say it's the same concerns and that you would have for any ISP that you have at your house. You know, whatever concerns you have right now would be similar to what we're seeing, except for the customer service aspect, because we have really good customer service. And in fact, we have a metric that we use called Net Promoter Score. It's a scale from -100 to 100, and we send out surveys on a regular basis, and we're hovering around 52.5, which is huge in our industry. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that nobody's complaining about us or, you know, trying to take us down, but I definitely stand behind our customer service and our technology that we're bringing.
Thank you. And we have one final question online. Can you foresee any problems that might arise with telephone service during major storm events?
Well, I suppose, I mean, we sort of addressed that. As we said, we do have the lithium battery in your house when we install phone services, so that'll go 8 to 12 hours. And then we also have at the point where it comes ashore, the boxes that we have in the neighborhood, those will go from 24 to 36 hours. And as Barb mentioned, we want to get a tech over there as soon as possible to get the generator running, right? So the problems, I guess, would be after that 12-hour standby might expire. Maybe we don't get somebody there on time. That might be one issue, but for the most part, we're going to try our best to make sure that doesn't happen.
I'll just expand on that just a touch from aerial to underground. When we're doing a civil underground, we have multiple different methods that we have in all our communities up north. So we have aerial builds and underground builds. When it comes to the underground builds, I just know from a trouble ticket standpoint that it is I can't even explain the minimal amount that we get, right? There's obviously a backhoe in the neighborhood that could be digging something up. There could be, you know, a few things that could happen in the underground, but once our maps and our what we would call them, our final design is given to the community and they know where it is and they know where the depth is and anything's got like that. Aerial, we have a lot of trouble with. There's obviously trees, there's obviously different things that come down on things. There's pole change outs, there's hydro has a burn that comes down and burns your fiber. There's been multiple things that we've had outages. So through the underground, I think this method will give us a way better track record when it comes to reliability on that. With fiber optics over your coax or your twisted pair lines, water does not affect fiber, right? I mean, I've had closures my personal self where we were doing splicing and there's, you know, 144 fiber in there and it's full of water because of a defective closure that we had and no service. I just found it because we were going in to do more work, right? At the end of the day, it can be laid beside hydro lines. There's no connectivity between the two that causes interruptions. The fiber optic network we're putting in is superior, and it is a lifespan of a lifetime. And only thing they'll ever need to be changed out once the infrastructure is in place is equipment on either end, while the world, you know, wants everything faster and faster over the time, right? So internet doubles every year. So someone who needs 25 in their house at one point, they need 50 the next year. It just, that is the pattern for the last 10 years. So with having the fiber optic network there, you will never have that issue. The only thing ever is maybe 8 years from now, we come out with a new modem or a new Wi-Fi or a new connection piece that we plug in. So that is the benefit of the fiber that's going into your communities.
Fantastic. And I'm going to do the last two questions that are online and then open it up to callers. So the last two questions are both for CityWest. Do speeds slow down with high area use?
They can, yeah. I mean, but for the most part, no. Again, with fiber, it is a shared service, but we work hard to make sure it's evenly distributed, so there's not really any slowdowns.
Great. And final question for the online Q&A. Will CityWest be establishing a local office for providing responsive technical support?
What define local office, I suppose, like it's somewhere on Denman and Hornby. Not in our plans currently, no. But we will have support there in case of outages and troubles and installs.
Can I just add one thing? Back to the capacity of the internet. When we have fiber, when we do our design, it's called a GPON, and it's a 1/32 split. So you'll never be on, when we do the graphics, you could have TV, you could have 5 TVs going on HD, you can have your 1,000 down, 100 up going, and your telephone line. All the capacity currently that you can put on a line that we are offering, 32 people could be maxed out, and we are still covered to the max of all your services. So when that design comes in, there could be in the future where we make it down to a 1/16 split, but right now, us looking out into the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years, we are completely have that method, and the amount of bandwidth that every person needs is in control, that you will get all those speeds at a level at all times.
Great. I'm just going to unmute the 2 callers and ask the 2 callers if either of them have any questions. Okay, it doesn't sound like either of them have any questions. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to say thank you everyone for submitting your questions. We are closing the Q&A at this time. If you have any additional questions, please give us a call at 250-334-6000, and we'd be happy to answer them. We are also going to be doing another session tomorrow at 5 o'clock, so you're always welcome to join in on the other session as well. And at this point, I'm going to pass it over to James Warren.
Thanks very much, Jen. Karen, I do see your hand raised. Did you have a quick comment? We do want to wrap up here fairly quickly to let people get along with their day.
Thank you, James. A couple of things. The video that shows the installation is on hornbydenmaninternet.com. So if you want to watch that 5-minute video, we've posted it on our website. And John Grayson and myself have plans to have sign-in forms and any follow-up information people might want. We'll be at the co-op from 10:30 to 12:30 this Friday. And one of our staff members will be at the farmers market from 11 till 1, and she will have forms that people can complete and return to her. And that information will all go to CityWest for their drop-ins. Thank you, James. Thanks, Karen. And thanks to everybody who participated in the call, sharing information today and asking your questions. It's a fantastic discussion that we had. Please do reach out to our website to get more information on this project, and the links are there to the CityWest page as well. Again, the website is www.comoxvalleyRD.ca/islandsinternet, or you can call, as Jennifer said, 250-334-6000 for any additional help. And please encourage all of your friends, family, and community members to get out and vote on November 27th. Thank you very much to everybody for attending. Have a nice afternoon.